what the audience gives you only makes the band that much better, and it's that never-ending cycle of what you give only you put back out into the show. And
Right.
it's something I'm very much looking forward to, and I've missed for quite a long time.
Marc, you there?
I am here. What's up, man?
Hey, what's happening, man? How are you?
Dude, hanging in there.
Yeah.
I was just giggling when I was looking in the notes. Like, oh man, Meatball.
Yeah, it's been a hot minute since we talked. I think like maybe 3 weeks or something. Oh man. Well, thank you for coming back regardless, man. It's always good to talk to you. I think it's funny. I was telling somebody the other day, it's like, oh, I got another interview with Marc from Dirty Honey. And they're like, didn't you just talk to him? I was like, yeah, but it was almost 2 years from the time before that. So, we got some making up to do.
Yeah, I'm never gonna complain about that. So it's all good with me. How's it sound on your end? All right.
Yeah. It sounds great. You sound great, man.
Cool.
Yeah, fantastic. So, you guys in the last few weeks now have released this self-titled album, which is fantastic. And then, you announced this headlining tour you're going on. And boy, things have changed in the last 2 weeks now. It seems like everything's opening up. And I would assume you guys are like exceptionally excited.
Yeah, I mean, everything's going great so far. Ticket sales everywhere are awesome. And, it just speaks to how badly people want to get out at this point, and man, yeah, I couldn't be happier. At the moment, I got like 5 days, I think, before we leave. So
yeah.
We're ready to go.
Now,
going to rehearsal after this, man, it's going to be a good day.
Now, have you, in the last year, and it's been a year and 3 months for us, have you been to a live show of any kind, or other than like live streams, have you played in front of a crowd at all?
No, we haven't. But the only like live event I've been to a couple hockey games, and they were pretty early on when they started letting people back in. So They were like maybe 10% full, and it was a little weird. It was weird, honestly. Yeah.
So you haven't gotten that full crowd experience then? Like you haven't been like a live music experience either?
No, we just, like you said, we just did those live streams, and again, they were cool. Honestly, it kind of felt like you were shooting a music video and gave you something to do, more than anything, which was nice, but it wasn't the same for sure.
Well, we just had, as of recording this, we just had our first live show in a year and 3 months last night.
Really?
With Smith & Myers. And I can tell you from somebody who also spends a fair amount of time like on a stage in front of people, like, what that feeling is of like a crowd of people looking back at you and screaming at you,
Yeah.
But like feeling it again is totally beyond your expectations, man. And I am so excited for that feeling to come back to you guys. Oh God. It is a euphoric feeling.
Too. And where was that gig?
It was right here in Wichita. It was at the Cotillion, where you guys are going to be playing.
Oh, it was there. Yeah, where we're going to be. Awesome.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
I've heard. I've never been there, but I've heard that that place is amazing. So I'm actually looking forward to checking it out. Playing Wichita for like the first real time ever. So
it looks like a 1950s roller rink. It's also shaped like a UFO. Like you guys are going to love this place.
Yeah, I've looked up pictures, and a buddy actually that lives out here apparently knows the owner or something, and he was like, that is one of the coolest venues in the country. He was in bands, for a long time, pretty successful ones, and he was like, you're gonna have a blast there. That place is awesome. So.
And what's interesting about, the Cotillion is, a lot of bands, and there are some bands that complain about this and some that love it. You don't get a whole lot of room on stage. Like if you bring a whole lot of like, big things and screens and stuff, like there's not room for that. You're pretty well stripped down to just the band on stage. And that's where I think it's kind of a proving ground for a lot of bands.
Yeah. And I think, obviously we're used to that, playing in clubs and coming up in bars and stuff for a long time. That's we're no strangers to not having any room, but it just makes the musicians have to be that much better, honestly, if you don't have all the bells and whistles of like a show to entertain the audience. You just better be really good at what you're doing. So,
well, you guys are going out on this headlining tour with Joyous Wolf all through the month of June to kind of shake the rust off. You said you've got some rehearsals tonight. Have you been through the rehearsal process? Like, are you guys back to gelling?
This is the first time I'm actually going to be rehearsing with the band in a little while, other than like writing and stuff. But I've been singing just like this through my computer to the record, to the old stuff for several weeks now, just to keep the vocals, the vocal chops up. But yeah, I'm looking forward to getting into the room and making some noise with the guys, and they've been getting together on their own as well, just to keep their stamina up. But yeah, today should be pretty fun.
And then,
the neighbors won't like it too much, but I'll be plenty happy.
I think that's the sign of a good rock band. Like, people talk about real rock bands come up in garages and stuff like that. You got to piss off a couple neighbors if you're going to be a real rock band one day.
Yeah, you got to piss off the neighbors, and if the police don't get called at least 10 times in the year, then you're not doing something right. So
exactly. Have you had the police called on you for rehearsals?
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
Any exciting, or just like the cop show up and like, just turn it down to like 7?
You know what's funny? There was one cop, this one cop actually sold our guitar player a really nice Les Paul back in the day. And I sort of serendipitously crossed paths with this cop, and he was like, "Oh, you look like you're in a band. I'm a total like, musician at heart, but I'm a cop, obviously." And I was like, yeah, you check out the band, blah, blah, blah. He's like, "I sold the guitar to that guy." And I was like, "What?" And he knew exactly who he was. John knew who the cop was and everything. It was pretty funny, and he's become a really good fan ever since. But yeah, that was a good weird like moment, befriending this cop on the street.
Well, now you got a man on the inside if the cops do get called in. You just be like, call that dude. He'll help us out.
He's in the wrong county though, but maybe he knows somebody. He can make a few calls for us.
There you go. Well, you guys, when you do go back out on tour, you're starting off pretty big, because you're doing your own headlining gig through the month of June with Joyous Wolf. Obviously, you're making a stop here in Wichita on the 20th, and then right after that, you guys are going out with these guys actually over my shoulder, the Black Crows.
I just noticed that. Yeah, man.
Yeah, you guys are going out with the Black Crows. That tour, like, no, I don't think anybody ever expected that to ever be a thing again. And then now you guys are on this show. Like, when you got that call, were you in shock? Like, haha, this is a prank, right?
Well, I kind of knew what was going on. Kind of before everybody really, just because our manager like kept me in the loop, and I'm such a huge fan of the band that it's something like that is tough to keep a secret from me. So I flew out to New York for their reunion show that they did at the Bowery Ballroom, and got to hang with the guys, and he was like, "Hope you're ready to do shows, man." Chris and Rich were like so nice and so cool, and just got to spend a really a good night with them in New York. And then I flew back to Reno for a gig. But yeah, I was kind of onto that one for a minute, and like it was tough to keep my mouth shut long,
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's literally a dream come true for me. That right there is one of my favorite records of all time. So
yeah, I was amazed when I got in the studio. I saw that on the wall, and I was like, that is, because it's got a platinum cassette in there. I don't think I've ever seen that before.
I don't know if I've seen that in a long time either.
Yeah. So you guys have got a lot of exciting stuff going on, and for those that maybe have not seen your live show, there's a lot of bands that can do a lot of covering up in the studio. You guys are not one of those bands. You guys are pretty much what you hear on the record is what you're going to see and hear live. And then there's an extra element of energy for that. And I really appreciate that about your show.
Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, we try and keep, especially on the records, we try and keep the soul intact, the energy raw and alive. And, when we get the opportunity to step in front of an audience, it's just so much better. Everything is elevated just by virtue of having fans there and people screaming and enjoying themselves. So, yeah, to your point though, yeah, there's no extra bells and whistles other than the music and the performance. And that's rock and roll.
Yeah. And then obviously with the live show, you take it up a notch. Like what you hear on the album, and then the energy that you guys just project out from your live shows is exceptional as well.
Well, it's funny, like I haven't had that adrenaline rush of a crowd buzzing, moments before the lights go out or whatever, and you step out on stage, and it's tough to recreate that when you're just in your room singing, into a mic. And I'm like, yeah, it sounds pretty good, but where's that extra 10% that you're missing? And it's all in the audience. I mean, what you hear it a million times, like what the audience gives you only makes the band that much better. And it's that never ending cycle of what you give only you put back out into the show. And
right.
It's something I'm very much looking forward to, and I've missed for quite a long time. So
have you ever had a crowd like push you? You get out there and you're like, oh, this crowd's really into it, and then you push yourself maybe a little too hard because of the crowd?
I'm sure it's happened. I remember in Kansas City, I think they had an awesome crowd there that night when we were opening for Alter Bridge. And I remember everybody was just buzzing after the show and like, and Justin's running around a little too much. And like, there's this great video where he was so jacked up and he's trying to run across the stage, but we were the opening band. I think he only had like a 20-foot cable. And he just kind of runs, and the cable line runs out, and he just gets like stopped in his tracks, as he's like mid sprint across the stage. And it's all on video, and he just kind of looks back and he's like, what the hell? Like, we're not wireless yet, man, but yeah, there's some stuff like that. And he falls off the stage sometimes, just getting too jacked up, but he's an animal. He's like the Tasmanian devil up there.
I remember watching your live stream that you did. I think it was April of last year for Harley Davidson. And you were talking about Justin was like in our live show. Pretty sure he falls or slips at least 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, he does. He totally does. And he wears slippery shoes too. So he's a mess, but it makes for a great show.
We mentioned no bells and whistles for you guys. You just put out this self-titled album, which I'm going to get to in a minute. But like, have you ever considered, with your sound, because it is a very like natural, just straightforward rock and roll sound. Have you ever considered or maybe even thought about adding some of those extra little bells and whistles, maybe some of like the technological stuff that people are putting in music now?
Not from like a technological standpoint, not really. There's some like slightly different instrumentation on this LP from, just using this female background singer that we all love. And there's some Wurlitzer on the tune Another Last Time. There's like some, maybe organ, but that's really it. And, it just has to be appropriate, whatever you're using for rock and roll. We're not going to like all of a sudden throw in some EDM, we're
not going to start throwing raves in the middle of your show.
Yeah, no, I can't see that happening, but maybe down the line, some horns being used tastefully or something might be appropriate. I don't know. Just thinking off the top of my head, but, I'm trying to think if Zeppelin ever did anything crazy. Violins, an orchestral thing might be cool. But yeah, nothing like that would be inappropriate.
Yeah, the orchestral stuff is kind of becoming a big thing with rock bands right now. You either stripped way down and then you add a lot of strings to it. Because I mean, Metallica did S&M, and everyone's like, "Ooh, I can do that too."
Yeah, totally. And I don't know if you're familiar with the record, but I think Chris Cornell did a whole tour with like a cellist and an acoustic guitar, and I think maybe a piano. And when you strip some of those songs down and do it that way, it just adds a whole different emotional element that I just loved. So that, could be cool later on.
Well, you do have the full length album out. That's all way down the road, because you got an album out right now that you got to focus on. Full album out, self titles. We kind of touched on it the last time we talked, but like this is now your first full album. And you have the one other EP that you put under your belt. Was there a difference in the recording process for a full length album versus the EP that you put out?
There was, just because we did it during the pandemic. Our producer's in Australia, so he was like on Zoom in the studio with us. We had an engineer obviously with us in person. But, leading up to it, it was all very similar. The pre-production process was pretty much the same. We were still sending, demos and stuff via email, and, he was getting the thumb, giving or not giving the thumbs up to those. And, we were Zoom meetings, and we would have FaceTime meetings before and stuff like that. But you know, when it came down to actually recording it, yeah, having him on Zoom was definitely a big adjustment, but it really was seamless, and I think we were all very surprised by how well it worked.
When you guys recorded, were you all in different places when you did it, or did you guys all come into one studio at one time?
The band was all in one studio together. You know, that's how we like to do it. Capture that one like energetic rhythm take, you know,
Yeah.
between the bass guitar and the drums. And honestly, I sang along to all that stuff too, and a lot of it was, you know, a song like The Wire, we didn't even go back to for vocal stuff, just because he was like, it's fine. We don't think about it too much. It's really good. Just leave it.
Right. So really a lot of the album is pretty well live tracked then.
Yeah, but I mean, literally all of it. And then you just go back, you do the solos for the guitar, you know, the guitar solos. And if the only reason you would go back and do vocals is if I literally don't know what I'm saying lyrically yet, which oftentimes can happen. I think you have to give it your best shot with the band, and then, you know, listen to it a couple times and see what needs to change. So we go back and do some vocal overdubs, you know, once I get the lyrics straight. But that's pretty much the process. It only took 7 days to do it, you know.
Wow. Okay.
But there, you know, there's a month of pre-production in there as well. So there's a lot of time given to it, but the actual recording is pretty snappy.
Yeah. And then like everyone always talks about, you know, oh, it takes them, you know, 3 years to put out a record or whatever. Like the actual recording process is very quick. It's all the promotion and production after the fact and covers and all that that's the stuff that takes months and months and months.
Exactly.
You know, I could talk all day about, you know, the groove that you guys have and the feel of your band. Like I liken it to the best road trip soundtrack that I can listen to. Like if I'm taking a trip to Oklahoma, yeah. Like you can't help but like it could be pouring down rain outside. If this record comes on, I want to roll down the window and just feel the air, man.
That's a hell of a compliment, man. Just get soaking wet for the sake of the good music.
just for that vibe, man.
Yeah, no, it's you know, and to your point with literally that exact point, the tune Gypsy was kind of birthed from that. You know, I thought John had this really great sort of road trip, on the move type of riff. And honestly, I wanted to write something that lyrically felt that way as well. And, you know, was kind of a road trip type song, being on the move, being on the run. And, you know, I ride a lot of motorcycles, and I wanted something that I could see the boys, you know, enjoying while they're on a good stretch of road, whether they're wearing headphones on the bike or they have a stereo system on their Harley or whatever. So, yeah, it came out really well. I'm particularly proud of that one. And it always was coming up in my head as I'm like riding in Montana or whatever, this riff that he had. And I was like, it's just gotta, these two things lyrically and the go together with this one in that way. So that's where we went with it.
You know, something very unique with you guys as well. You were very, very successful very quick. And you're not on any record labels. You're completely independent.
That's not actually true.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it is true, but it's not. And things started happening quickly once, you know, the dominoes started to fall. I think it, like dominoes, it takes a long time to really set them up. And, you know, once they're set up perfectly, yeah, things are going to go your way. But, you know, it took probably 2.5, 3 years to get the right people in the band to write, you know, some material that people were inspired by, you know, and obviously like once that product is ready to go, once you have When I'm Gone and Rolling Sevens and, you know, that EP, I think that really kicked people in the ass enough to get involved and get inspired and, you know, get the business side of things rolling.
Right.
But yeah, that setup time took quite a while, and it was all on us more than anything to get it right.
Yeah. Well, and like I mentioned, you guys you're not working with a record label. You're completely independent, which is another very unique thing about you guys.
Yeah. And it wasn't like, it wasn't for lack of trying to get one. It's just, to your point of it happening quick, I guess that's where I guess we kind of got a little lucky in that, the music started taking off first on its own organically all over the country. Credit to radio and everybody else for enjoying it and appreciating it so much that, it gave us the option to do it ourselves and not be beholden to a record label and be in control of your own destiny. And we were kind of watching it go up the charts and we were like, what are they going to do now? They're going to jump on. They weren't passionate about it before. And now all of a sudden they're passionate because it's having success.
Well, you guys are definitely a big name now, I think. I don't think you're going to have any problem with people throwing shade at you or anything like that. Dirty Honey is definitely a name known in rock radio now.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's crazy. We appreciate it, obviously. And, we definitely have, we're definitely inspired to make great music and keep it coming and just keep that rock and roll flame alive. So,
there's kind of this interesting feeling in rock now. And I like to ask, a lot of the artists I talk to about this kind of stuff. It's like equal parts, I don't know, nostalgia and then equal parts, new and kind of progressive stuff with a lot of different genres and stuff in there. And then there's bands that kind of reach back for inspiration as well. I know how I feel about this, but, given a rating of like 1 to 10, 1 being it's dead and 10 meaning, it's never been healthier. How would you feel about the health of rock and roll right now?
I think it's probably at about a 6.9, I would say.
Okay.
I think, man, when I think of like rock and roll, I see an AC/DC hat there behind you. I see the Black Crowes.
Yep.
I don't know what that sign
we
picture
got
is.
Green Day back here. I think this is Asking Alexandria, Godsmack, and then Shinedown over here in the corner.
And so Green Day, like rock and roll is, to me, is more of like a blues influenced, riff based, I don't know, sort of thing. I don't know of a lot of current rock and roll bands specifically. There's a lot of rock bands that are doing very well and having great success, but rock and roll is Zeppelin, the Black Crowes, AC/DC, the Stones, Aerosmith, that Free. And I don't know if like the hard rock of today fits into that thing. I mean, really, it's like Greta Van Fleet is the only other rock and roll band I can think of. That's
right. Well, and you've got bands like
Joyous Wolf for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Joyous Wolf is one of those. You've got Aaron Jones, who's doing some pretty cool stuff right now.
Aaron Jones,
Blue Stones is another one. I mean, there's
Blue Stones. I'll check them out.
Blue Stones is a very cool group. They're very bluesy. I think, if you're equating like rock with blues riffs and stuff, Blue Stones is one of those bands I think you would really, really dig.
Aaron Jones is definitely one of them too. And Joyous Wolf. And I love what Marcus King is doing with his band. He's, so there's a lot of stuff really happening. It's just maybe not at like the forefront of.
Yeah. There's this vibe that I feel like there's just something bubbling under the surface right now. Like it's not here yet, but it's right there, just waiting to break out.
Yeah, totally. I totally agree. And I felt that way before the pandemic. And I was like, this isn't, there's a couple bands out of Nashville. Goodbye June is one of them. Tyler Bryant and the Shakedowns doing it. So they're there. It's just, everybody's got to keep going and find their own way,
Right. Well, and then you take bands like Joyous Wolf and put them on tour with you. People are going to get exposed to them really fast. So
yeah, totally. They're a great band, man. They really are. All those guys can play really well and sing really well. And they've got some really cool songs. And I genuinely really like the music. So it's a really nice fit.
Very stoked to see you guys June 20th, Father's Day, by the way. I think we touched on that last time. Going to be at the Cotillion. I have one last question for you. I can never pull off this look, but the hats that you wear, like, do you have those specifically made? Do you have a guy? Like, tell me the story.
I have a guy.
You have a guy. Okay.
Guy. Yeah, I have a guy. I think back to in casino, but yeah. Anyway, I have a guy. I actually saw him yesterday. Who I just had a couple things done to a couple hats, and I was with him yesterday chatting, and he's just like so proud. And but I go to a guy named Carlos at Nick Fouquet is the hat maker. And they make really cool stuff, but Carlos is my guy there who, takes care of everything. And He's super sweet and super artistic too. I mean, it's an art form, the way they do everything by hand, and they're not cheap. Which sucks for me because I love them, and I want a lot of them. If I could walk you over to my wall, you'd see like what's going on. You'd be like, you're crazy. My living room is just adorned with all hats on the wall, like 22 of them or something. And they're not, you can Google how much they are. They're not cheap, but I probably should sell a couple and get some more guitars, but maybe I can have both someday.
Well, I was going to tell you,
yes,
I didn't know if you had a guy or not. We actually have a really cool hat making shop in town, and if they're open on Sunday when you guys are here, I was like, maybe Marc would want to come check this place out.
I will definitely swing by. I think all the felt that most of the hat makers use is from Tennessee, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, he's probably using the same stuff.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll check and see if he's open on Sunday. Maybe we can make a run down to the hat store.
What's it called? Do you know?
It's called Hatman Jacks.
Hatman Jacks. I'll check it out.
Yeah, I did a commercial for them one time, and it was very like 1920s kind of like flapper style. It was like, come down to Hatman Jacks and get your hat. Like it was a lot of fun. But like I've been in there a couple of times with some friends. Really good leather maker. He works with felt and stuff, cowboy hats, bowlers. I mean, everything. He does everything. Awesome. It's very, very cool, dude. Very cool.
Yeah, man. I love it. And all those guys seem to have their own personalities, and they're all like artists too, which is cool. And I love supporting them all too. I've got some other ones other than Nick's, but he's literally right down the road from my place here. So like if I'm on a bicycle ride or running or just going to get lunch or something, I often have to pass it, and I'm like, oh geez, I'm going in again.
And I'm gonna buy another hat on this bike ride today.
I know, it's crazy.
Well, man, the new self-titled full-length album out now, Dirty Honey, coming Father's Day, June 20th at the Cotillion. Day after my birthday, don't forget that. Is
it? Oh, man.
I'm mentally preparing myself for the Hair of the Dog tequila shot and this loud-ass rock show to shake me out of my hangover.
You will definitely get a tequila shot, I can guarantee you that. And yeah, we're looking forward to seeing you, man. That'll be great. I can't wait.
Dirty Honey, Joyous Wolf going to be here June 20th. Stoked to see you guys in person in a few weeks. And yeah, just be safe on the road, guys. And we'll talk very soon, Marc.
Yes, man. Can't wait. Thanks for the time. Thanks for the support. We appreciate it.